do this on our own, and only if I have a question am I going to come forward and ask it. But right now they've got everything they need to figure out everything that happened in this case.
And Mike Brooks, haven't had a chance to get your opinion on this with the timing of everything. 7 hours or so they've been going. What's your take on that and what might be going on in that jury room?
No, you know, Ryan, Susan's right. You and I being the only men here, you know that's right. You get a group of women in there, they want to figure this out. And I think one of the main reasons they wanted that list. No, I think one of the main reasons oh, and Jason too. I'm sorry, I forgot you, Jason. But one of the main reasons they. I am the bald dude. But one of the main reasons
go ahead, Mike.
The main reason they wanted the list, I think they wanted, okay, what do we have to work with? If any questions come up, here is the inventory list of the evidence. So if any questions come up, they know right where to go for that instead of constantly going back and asking, okay, what evidence do we have at our disposal? And I think that's a good sign that they wanted to work through this. And, you know, hey, they got some rest last night. They went home early, back this morning, and they're ready for a full day, now breaking for lunch. I tell you what, I'm looking for a verdict probably around 5 or 6 o'clock today.
All right.
Wow. All right.
Jane, yeah.
Yes. Yes, Janet.
The thing is, you know, going to lunch for these guys, it's not exactly like going to lunch for us.
No.
They don't get to hop in the car and say, hey, you want to go to Friendly's or McDonald's? They're going to be together in a room eating lunch, whether they do it here or they do it at a restaurant. They're sequestered. So it doesn't really make a big difference. So maybe we're reading too much into that.
Now, let's clarify the whole issue of the animation. This animation that the defense fought to include in this case, and they didn't get to use it as evidence. They got to use it as a demonstration during their closing argument. It's very sophisticated. I think it probably costs a lot of money to put together. Uses some of the same technology used in action films like Iron Man, and it essentially presents George Zimmerman's versions of events. Make no mistake. But what are the rules with its animation? It cannot be displayed again in the jury room, or can it?
It's not part of evidence. No. I mean, Ashley Merchant, they bring this in the jury room. That was more part of their closing argument. And Ashley, really, they wanted this to be in the trial, I'm guessing, because they wanted that jury to be able to maybe play that in that deliberation room.
Definitely.
To say, that's the version, right? What do you think?
They definitely wanted this to go back, and they wanted to be able to play it over and over again as though it was evidence. And unfortunately, it wasn't evidence, and I do think the judge got it right. And the defense used it appropriately in their closing arguments just to sort of illustrate their point. And it's very helpful. I wish that this was allowed in more courts across the country, because it's very helpful to illustrate, because, you know, we learn by listening and we learn by seeing. So when you can tap into both of those, you're really going to do a better job in a closing argument.
So then, Tanya Miller, if you don't... Oh, yeah, Mike, go ahead. Jump in with that, Mike.
No, the problem is this an accurate portrayal of what really happened that night?
What the defense thinks happened, it's accurate as to that.
Yeah, but, you know, even last night on After Dark, we had it, and we played it, and we had Frank Taffy, you know, and some people are not crazy about Frank Taffy. That's fine, but he pointed out some things, and we talked about this, the position of the body, you know, compared to what George Zimmerman said. It was totally inaccurate. It was more up on the sidewalk than down on the grass. But the jurors got to see this. You know, what will that play in their mind about what really happened that night? That remains to be seen.
I'm sorry.
So then Tanya Miller, the other part of that. Oh, go ahead, Jason. I'm going to let you jump in, then I want to talk to Tanya.
I got to tell you, I think the defense had already done a good job of explaining their story one way or another, and showing me the animated version of The Sims was not going to convince me one way or another. And in fact, when I saw the tape, when I saw the animation, the first thing that hit me is when Trayvon goes up and punches him, my first thought was, so why did he do that again? It just seems strange. I thought the defense had done fine without the animation.
Yeah, they didn't need it.
Well, I disagree. Respectfully, I thought it was extremely effective because it is visual, and people perceive visual information different than auditory information. And I think it goes to sort of that reptilian brain that we have here, where it imprints in a different way, perhaps subconsciously, but it definitely has an impact.
I think it does, too. I mean, our experts here, people like you and me, Jay, we watch trials every single day. What about folks who don't? They've got an illustration that could be powerful. By the way, a lot going on outside the courthouse. Take a look at that. People starting to gather, voice their opinions. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk more about this animation and who did the better job in this case. Jurors deliberating through lunch, 7 hours and counting. We're on a verdict watch.
Holy great Lord.